Hey guys, this is Matt. Welcome back to Just for Fun. I've started a couple brews for the new standard format. This is our Menace deck. It's I wrote KF because it's Kiln Fiend esque, not really all in like Kiln Fiend, but we are trying to double strike people out of nowhere. So um, this deck is 18 mountains, 2 looming spires. This is as aggro as possible. Our curve ends at 3. Um, and it's really fun deck to play. I hope you see in the matches how much fun I'm having, because this is exactly the style of deck I like. Just play cheap dudes, turn them sideways, kill your opponent as fast as possible. I know people will tell you that you don't get like extra credit for killing somebody faster, but boy is it more satisfying. I am not a dirtle player, so this is the kind of deck I enjoy. I want to just like mop them up and have time to go get a slice of pizza between rounds. You know what I'm saying? Here's our plan. We got 8 1-drops that can get Menace. So Village Messenger, I love this card. I was so happy when I saw this previewed. Exactly the style of card that I like to play. And Goblin Glory Hole Chaser, which is a leftover from Magic Origins that didn't get much love in Constructed, but I think it's a pretty good card. And it goes really well with Expedite. You know, if you can turn 2 play Glory Chaser Expedite, you might still be able to get in and get it Menace really quick, and then that just makes it hard to deal with. Now almost all of our creatures have Menace, so we got those. We've got Ire Shaman, which has Menace, which a lot of the time you're just hard casting this as a 2/1 Menace. And we've got Sin Prodder, which has Menace. So all of our creatures are really hard to block, and having multiple Menace guys stacks really well because your opponent has to have a lot more. He has to have twice as many creatures in play as you in order to keep up by blocking. So blocking is just not a good plan against this deck. Plus, we have things like Fiery Impulse to punish blocking, Titan Strength, and Call of the Full Moon, which giving your guy Trample is another way to get through for damage. And this has the drawback of falling off or whatever, but if this allows you to kill a creature, then you've already traded, so that's fine. If this allows you to get in for 3 or more damage, well, that's worth a card in terms of Philosophy of Fire, right? Carol Keep is the only non-menace creature you have, but it's so worth it for the value. So the problem with a lot of cheap aggro decks is because of the individual power level of the cards being low and the typical lack of card advantage in these type of cards, you run out of threats, and then you can't keep up with a more expensive, more powerful deck. So cards like Abbot, Ire Shaman, and Sin Prodder that give you onboard card advantage really make a difference. Expedite really is basically there to trigger prowess. It's a great hit off of Abbot. Get you in for a little extra damage here or there. And then Uncaged Fury being the real key to the deck here. This is giving +1/+1 and double strike. So on a 1/1, right? On worst case scenario, this is doing, making it a 2/2 and then giving it double strike. So this is doing 3 damage worst case scenario. On a Abbot, right, or a Sin Prodder, it's making it 4 and then 8, so it's doing 5 damage, just by itself. And then not to mention pumping other stuff, whatever. So this is a great way to kill people out of nowhere. It works really well with Call of the Full Moon and Trample as your like Teamer Battle Rage substitute. So I wanted to see if you could still make this deck without Teamer Battle Rage. So that was kind of the plan. I got one of Roast just to get Toasty in there. And yeah, so in the sideboard, my plan is against controlling kind of decks, pump spells and auras are really bad, right? So we want to maybe slow down a little bit and go a little more card advantage against that kind of deck that's going to be removal heavy. We have 1 Tears of the Valakut because Archangel of Titties is unbeatable, and Avacyn is pretty challenging. So Archangels just literally you can't win if they play that. So this is your out to that. If they have a lot of removal, dash gets better, so Zergo can be an option against other cheap decks. Dual shot is really good. Maybe sell out a couple expedites for those. Another roast for fatties to get through. And then we have this other plan here of Chandra and Scab Clan, which I would board in these 2 extra mountains in order to cast all these extra 3 drops. So that's what the mountains are doing here. So we would, for example, cut Call of the Full Moon and Uncaged Fury, take all of those out and put in these 6 and the 2 mountains. And so this really punishes removal spells or slow decks or whatever. This is kind of your Eidolon where you get them low enough that they really have to think twice about casting a spell after this is out. And Chandra is just another way to get advantage. If you can flip this, you got a whole mess of cheap spells in the deck. Makes it easy to flip her. And you know, I think it's just an underplayed card. I think there's a lot of reach this gives you and helps you close out a game. So this deck is a blast. It's very inexpensive, so you could definitely throw this together. Let me talk about this card real quick. This card has gotten a lot of hate from the pros. They think it's bad. Just because it's not Dark Confidant doesn't mean it's bad. It's kind of like reverse Dark Confidant in a lot of ways, right? This is card advantage red style, and basically you want to get your opponent to a point where they're so low on life that they can't just dump your stuff in the yard. Another complaint about this is that if this reveals a land, they just put the land in the yard and you don't get that land. But you know, in this kind of deck, you don't want to draw lands, so that's actually helping you up your odds to draw spells, you know, by dumping the lands in the yard. I found that this card has done a lot of work because basically, not only it's a really threatening body on its own, the 3/2 Menace, but once you start, you know, knocking people down a little bit, also it's great against pacifism and stuff that leaves it on the board tapped or whatever. If the effect keeps going, really strong. But you get people down to, like, let's say less than 10 life, they're going to have to think really hard about putting that extra card in your hand. You know, even if it's a 2-drop or a 1-drop, it's still like something for them to think about, and that too might be enough to get you over the hump with all your surprise damage and Titan Strength and Uncaged Fury. So sweet card. I love the art, and I just think it's like really fun card to play. It makes me feel evil. So I hope you enjoy this deck. This deck is great. Put it together, sleeve it up for Friday Night Magic, and toast some people's butts. Enjoy.